Today, we're exploring the work of a really interesting young artist from Botswana, Percy Cole. We've looked at a few different takes on what he's doing, and our mission really is to understand how he's mixing his cultural background with a very modern, very digital look.
Exactly. It's fascinating stuff. We're talking about Botswana's cultural heritage, specifically ideas like Ubuntu and the Khoisan traditions, and how he's slamming them together with cyberpunk aesthetics in these digital avatars.
Yeah, it's a striking mix.
It really is. And we want to figure out why that particular combination works so well, especially now with the metaverse becoming such a big thing.
Right.
And for you listening, our learner persona today, we really want to lay out a clear picture of his art and, the context around it without getting bogged down in technical stuff.
Okay, so let's start right there with the art itself, this fusion. Ubuntu, as we understand it, is all about community, right? Interconnectedness, I am because we are, that whole idea.
Absolutely fundamental.
And then you have cyberpunk, which, makes you think high-tech, maybe a bit gritty, futuristic cities, digital bodies.
Implants, neon lights.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. So Percy Cole takes these deep cultural ideas and channels them into these, very visually arresting digital characters.
It's like tradition seen through a futuristic filter. It's quite powerful.
And you mentioned how these avatars embody community and identity.
Yeah.
How does that work in a virtual space?
Well, think about it. The core of Ubuntu, that interconnectedness, it almost feels like a natural fit for how people might want to represent themselves and interact in these shared digital worlds, right?
Okay, yeah.
Cole's work isn't just about cool-looking avatars. It seems to be aiming deeper, trying to embed a sense of belonging, a kind of shared cultural feeling, even when you're just, pixels on a screen.
Tradition with futuristic flair. I like that phrase from our sources. It sums it up well.
It does.
Because these aren't just generic sci-fi characters. They feel specific. They have this cultural weight behind them.
Exactly. And that specificity, that cultural grounding, could potentially create a much stronger connection for people using them in the metaverse.
And speaking of the metaverse, maybe we should quickly define that for anyone who's still a bit fuzzy on the term.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Basically, think of it as a network of immersive 3D virtual worlds, places where you can interact with other people's avatars and digital stuff in a way that feels more, present than just browsing a website.
Like stepping into the internet, sort of?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's important to remember, people in these spaces, they form communities, they develop their own cultures, just like in the real world.
Right, they need ways to express themselves, to connect.
Precisely. And given that people are expected to spend, potentially a lot more time in these virtual worlds, the need for meaningful ways to show who you are, maybe where you come from digitally, becomes really important.
And the metaverse itself, it's built on code, right? So it's malleable. You can create almost anything.
Endless possibilities. And avatars are key. They're how you show up, how you navigate these spaces.
Okay, so Percy Cole is creating these really unique, culturally rich avatars. The next logical question is, how does an artist like him make a living from this?
Our sources pointed to a few ways.
Yeah, several interesting avenues. NFTs came up a lot.
Right, non-fungible tokens. The name sounds a bit techie, but the core idea is actually fairly simple when you break it down.
Go for it.
It's basically like a unique digital certificate of ownership for a digital item, like proof that you own this specific digital artwork, not just a copy. And that proof is recorded securely on something called a blockchain.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that ties into virtual worlds like the Sandbox or Decentraland, where people use NFTs to own digital land, virtual clothing, stuff like that.
So Percy Cole's avatars could become these unique, collectible digital assets. Exactly, and their value. It really depends on him, the artist, and how scarce he makes them.
Yeah.
The creator sets the value, essentially.
Okay, so NFTs are one path. What else? Commissions seem like a more traditional route, almost.
Definitely. Individuals, or maybe even brands, could hire him directly. Hey, can you create a custom avatar for me or for our company's virtual presence inspired by your style?
You could see a company wanting that unique cultural touch for, say, a virtual event or meeting space.
Absolutely. It offers something distinctive. Then there are branded collaborations.
Partnering with companies.
Yeah. Imagine him working with, say, a fashion label or maybe a musician to create special edition avatars for a specific campaign or a virtual concert.
Ah, okay. Giving the brand a kind of cultural depth.
Exactly. Something authentic, not just generic.
The last one mentioned was licensing, right?
licensing his avatar designs for use in video games, maybe social platforms, virtual events.
So, like, platforms paying him to allow their users to choose or buy his avatars.
Precisely. These platforms always need new content, new ways for users to express themselves. His unique, culturally rich avatars could be a really strong draw. Imagine seeing those designs pop up in a popular game.
That would be powerful, introducing that heritage to a potentially huge audience.
It would. And all these ways to monetize the work, they're kind of underpinned by these newer technologies and ideas.
Like Web3.
Yeah, Web3 comes into it.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind Web3, in simple terms, is a more decentralized internet.
Decentralized meaning less controlled by big companies.
Kind of. More power and ownership shifted towards individual users, creators. It's built on blockchain technology.
Right. And that links back to the NFTs because they rely on that decentralized ownership concept.
Exactly. And the blockchain itself. You can think of it like a shared digital spreadsheet, almost.
Okay.
But one that's tamper-proof, transparent. Everyone can see the transactions, but nobody can secretly change them. And it's kept secure by a whole network of users, not just one central authority.
Got it. So it's a trustworthy record.
That's the idea. And NFTs, these unique digital identifiers, often live on blockchains like Ethereum, and people usually trade them using cryptocurrencies.
Now, our sources did mention something about privacy, or maybe the lack of it, with blockchain.
Yeah, that's an important nuance. While the blockchain is transparent, the records are public. It's not necessarily private in the way we usually think of it.
How so?
Well, the transactions are linked to digital wallet addresses. If your real-world identity ever gets linked to your wallet address.
Then people can see what transactions you've made.
Potentially, yes. And because the blockchain is immutable, meaning records can't be deleted, that information is out there permanently. It's just something creators and collectors in this space need to be aware of.
Okay, good point. So, pulling back to the bigger picture here, Percy Coles' art, this blend of culture and future, seems to tap into something really fundamental.
Like that human need for belonging, for community.
Yeah, exactly. The whole Ubuntu philosophy, that need doesn't just disappear when we go online, does it?
If anything, it might become even more important as we try to find connection in these sometimes isolating digital spaces.
And his art could actually contribute to the sort of socioeconomic life of the metaverse.
Potentially, yes. Think about it, creating new digital economies around art and ownership, providing platforms for diverse cultures to express themselves and, interact.
Which leads to a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. How can culturally specific digital art, like Coles avatars, actually help build understanding between different cultures in these global virtual worlds?
Could these creations be like digital bridges? Introducing people to different ways of seeing the world, but in a really engaging visual way.
It's a fascinating possibility, isn't it?
It really is. How do we make sure the metaverse doesn't just become one sort of bland, uniform digital culture?
Right.
Artists like Percy Cole, who are deliberately bringing their specific heritage into this new space, the kind of pioneers, exploring what that could look like. It feels quite important.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, Percy Cole is doing something genuinely innovative. He's taking Botswana's cultural heritage Ubuntu Khoisan traditions and merging it with cyberpunk.
Creating these really unique digital avatars.
Which have huge potential in the metaverse, not just visually, but for fostering community and identity.
And we've seen that there are various ways he can actually, build a career from this in the Web3 world. NFTs, commissions, collaborations, licensing.
Lots of possibilities.
Definitely. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on.
Go ahead.
How might this kind of culturally rich digital art, Percy Cole's work being a prime example, how might it actually change how we think about who we are and how we connect as communities in these worlds that are becoming more and more digital?
And what role could these virtual creations play in keeping cultural heritage alive, maybe even helping it evolve for the future?
Big questions, but really exciting ones to consider as this technology unfolds.